We can go ahead and just start going over the overview and agenda for today and diving right in to the content. So welcome to the webinar. Thank you for joining wherever you are coming from, whatever time zone you're coming from. This is the webinar for AWS Observability, and it's going to be a live demo today. And my name is Katie Gray. I'm a product marketing manager at Sumo Logic. And I focus on everything observability and operational intelligence. So this is a really fun topic for me. I love this solution, and I'm really excited to share it with you all today. So this is the overview of what we're going to cover. I'm first going to give a very, very brief intro to Sumo Logic for those of you who are new to Sumo Logic as a whole. And then we're going to get right into AWS, talking about the solution overview, what are the challenges that we're really trying to solve for with the solution, and then I'll dive into the live demo. And this is where we're going to spend most of our time talking through all of the different scenarios that you might encounter and how the solution can be used to help you identify the root cause and get a high-level view of your AWS environment and all of your AWS services. And we will have some time for Q&A, so don't be shy. Feel free to pop those in the chat as we're going along. I'll try to keep a lookout for those as I'm going through the content, but I'll also have some time at the end of the session to cover any other questions. Okay, so Sumo Logic is a continuous intelligence platform. We ingest data across the entire stack of your services and applications and infrastructure. So we ingest metrics, logs, traces, events. We pull those into Sumo Logic, and Sumo Logic is essentially an analytics platform. We collect and centralize that data, and we provide you with a bunch of tools in order to visualize it, optimize your environment, notify you about things that are going on. And we also have dashboards that support the entire range of your business. So for targeted at developers, IT operations, security, as well as business intelligence. So our solution is really broken up into these three main pillars. Operational intelligence here on the left. And this is really where we're going to focus today with the AWS Observability solution. But we also have an entire suite of security-focused products that are also really useful for AWS as well. And then also business intelligence. Okay, so high level, a little bit about Sumo Logic. If you are just hearing about us, we are a multi-cloud, not multi-cloud. We are fully in the cloud, continuous intelligence platform, and we provide visibility regardless of if you are in the cloud or on-premise across all of your services, logs, metrics, events, and traces. We ingest 150 petabytes of data daily, so huge amount of data. We have customers across the board, across all verticals, Visa, USA Today, Airbnb, Twitter, Alaska Airlines, so forth. And really our solution is modeled to be super flexible from an economics perspective. So pay based on how much data you ingest. And it's also meant to be a very fast time to value. So we have a ton of out-of-the-box content to get you up quickly, depending on what your services are that you might want to be monitoring. Okay, so let's dive into AWS. We put out a report every year based on what we see in our customers and how they're using not only our product, but all of the other services out there. So this is our continuous intelligence report. Last year, we had 59% of our customers were in AWS. So it kind of makes sense that we have a solution that's really just targeted at this particular use case. Those are only in AWS. We also have a lot of customers in multi-cloud or on-prem, GCP, Azure. But this solution is targeted at these customers who are using AWS across the board and want to get better visibility into all of their AWS services and their entire application stack. looking a little bit deeper into how these AWS customers are using AWS, one of the things we see is that their architecture complexity is continuing to increase. So 2019, the median number of services used by AWS customers was around 15. But last year it was all the way up to 26, which is pretty staggering growth. And then just looking at what are those top 10 services used by AWS. Probably, most of you are probably using some of these, Lambda, EC2. We're going to talk about these today. And then in addition to complexity not complexity, but all of those various services that customers are using, we also find that most customers are using AWS across multiple regions and also across multiple accounts. So this creates difficulty as far as monitoring your environment and providing visibility in a unified fashion. Oftentimes we see our customers struggle to get a high-level view of what's going on because their data can be siloed not only by region or account, but also by service and also by data type. So whatever type of telemetry they might be wanting to ingest, logs or metrics. So in addition to the siloed data, we also have, the architecture complexity continuing to increase. So one of the things that we're excited to do at Sumo is provide a better way for customers to visualize all of the interdependencies within their services. And so here we have a sample application. Oftentimes something that happens is when there's an incident, you'll get an alert on one service, but you also might get alerts across multiple services because there's a chain reaction that happens. And one of the things that we'll talk about today is how do we help you quickly understand what happened first, even though you might be looking across multiple services, and give you better visibility in order to quickly track down the root cause. So high-level overview of the features and functionality I'll be talking about today for the AWS Observability solution. The first is to unify visibility across all of your accounts, regions, and services. And then we'll talk a little bit more about our Root Cause Explorer to help you visualize impacted services and accelerate issue resolution. And then finally, all of the out-of-the-box support that we're going to show you today. So everything I'm showing you is completely out of the box, nothing custom. We offer something around 50 or 60 out-of-the-box dashboards today for 9 different services, and then also out-of-the-box alerts for those services. And so in addition to our out-of-the-box services, you can also add additional AWS services. They're just not completely integrated from the get-go. So totally optional to continue to add on to this platform. So let's go ahead and jump into the demo and we can talk through the Sumo product and how this solution looks. Let's go ahead and log back in here. Okay, so here I am in Sumo Logic, completely web-based UI. And this is the homepage. If you've never seen it before, we have learning tools, certifications to walk you through how to use the platform most effectively. And then also my recently opened dashboards and searches. Also, I'll just point out before I get started, we have an app catalog for hundreds of different apps. And here you can, once you're sending us the data, these are out-of-the-box dashboards that will give you visibility into that particular service, so you don't have to build everything out from scratch. Our AWS solution is a little bit more specialized here, in that we are giving you an additional visibility into AWS services, and then helping you build out a hierarchy of what your organization looks like. So here I have my AWS accounts. I have actually 3 different AWS accounts that I'm looking at, and within each one, I can jump to a region, and then you can drill down further into the particular service that you want to investigate. So we call this the Explore tab. And it, as you dive into different services here, it'll continue to update the dashboards on the right to give you more visibility into what's happening with that particular service. So here, if I wanted to look at EC2, for example, now I'm getting specialized information for EC2 as opposed to that overview information I saw before. So here I see things like high CPU utilization, instances with high memory utilization. And this is just the overview dashboard. You can jump into other dashboards related to EC2 as well. So if I wanted to investigate a particular entity, one of the things that is really powerful about the Sumo Logic solution is that here now I'm just looking at one instance of EC2. Here we have quite a few in this list. So if there was one that was having a problem, now I'm getting offered to look at the logs or to dive into additional dashboards related to this instance, or also go look at that particular instance on its own. And so one of the things to note here is that all of this data that's coming in is CloudWatch and CloudTrail data. I'll talk a little bit about how setup works in a little bit, but we're ingesting all of the CloudWatch metrics and logs. And we're also attaching a lot of metadata to the data as it is ingested, which is how we can build out this hierarchy of the environment based on the region and the account that the data is coming from. And what that allows us to do is to easily navigate and also pivot between different data types. So here, if I wanted to look at this particular instance, now I'm getting all of the summary metrics for this one EC2 instance. But if I wanted to maybe jump into understanding what was happening with memory on this instance, there's a dashboard specifically to look at that. Okay. So let's jump back up to some of these higher level views. Here we have a complete overview of my entire production account, my production AWS account. Here we have it broken up by prod, dev, and staging. Oftentimes our customers have many, many more accounts than this, but it allows you to see them all in one unified view. And now I'm getting a rolled up information across all of the services that we're looking at here. So I can get some highlights about application load balancer, API gateway, EC2, Lambda, DynamoDB, etc. And I can see here if I wanted to investigate a particular service, I'll jump back in and let's look at a different example. Let's look at Lambda. Okay, so once again, another dashboard specifically built for Lambda. And I'll also just point out about these dashboards, these were designed based on industry best practices for each particular service. So our team spent a lot of time really tweaking these and understanding based on customer feedback what's most important to see right away for each service. In addition to the out-of-the-box alerts for each service, each one is based on the thresholds recommended by AWS in their documentation. So these are all out of the box and ready for you to flip on if you wish to do so. So here I have top invocations, errors, and I'll actually make this a little bit broader. Let me see. Okay, so here I can see I have a number of errors, but actually not so bad for my AWS Lambda functions. But say I wanted to investigate where all of these errors were coming from. Here I have my success and failures. and it's easy for me to see which one has the highest amount of failures, which is the get billing info here. So if you wanted to investigate further, each dashboard has the ability to add filters up here at the top. So here I have get billing info, and I can go ahead and add that in. And now my dashboard is telling me everything about this particular function. Actually, and now it's updated to what I thought it was. 719 errors for this one function. I think I had a previous filter stuck in there. So if I wanted to understand a little bit more, I can now look at the most frequent function operations related to this function. So I have things like invoke, list function, update function configuration, and these might be interesting to look further into to identify the root cause, because here you're updating the function configuration. So what I can do really easily with Sumo Logic is go from these high-level dashboards to now open this in the search tool. And now I can actually look at the logs associated with this, this Lambda function. And so here, I'll make this a little bit smaller. Okay, so I can see things, I can go ahead and sort by that function name, which actually it's already sorted by get billing info because of the context that I arrived here. So now I'm just seeing, oh, sorry, I want to sort by the event name. Here we go. And there are those 4 events. So I just want to look at the update function configuration. See, what are the 2 error messages, or not error messages, just log messages that were related to that. And I can see now here who the user is who made this change. And really easy for me now to go and ask that user exactly what they changed and ask them to roll it back if that was the thing that was causing the errors. So just kind of want to circle back. One of the things that is really powerful about the solution is the ability to get this high-level information, but also dig very deep into the into each of the services in order to actually identify the root cause. We talk a lot about, you have metrics for alerting you about problems, but it tends to always lead back to logs where you need to dig into the log and understand what actually occurred in order to identify the root cause. So speaking of root cause, let's talk a little bit about the root cause explorer feature. I talked earlier about how we have the ability to help you identify anomalies across services. And I want to look at another example of that. Here I know that we had a spike in our application load balancer. I'm going to go ahead and make sure this time range is correct. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so sorry, I skipped one step. Just wanted to make sure I was looking at the right time range. Okay, so starting again with our application load balancer. I know that I had a 500 error around 5 p.m., a huge spike in 500 errors. And so one of the things that Sumo Logic does is we create a baseline for all of the metrics that we're ingesting. And then we use the root cause explorer to highlight just the out of ordinary events. So I mentioned a lot of times it's hard to identify what the root cause might be because there's sometimes an alert storm during an incident, and a lot of the services are telling you that there's a problem. Here I have one service that I know is a problem, but this might not actually be the root cause of my incident. So how do I understand what other services might be involved, and how do I track down that timeline of what happened? So what I can do is I can go to my region and look not just at the ELB error or ALB error, but also all of the other services that might have had anomalous metrics at that time. So this is the Root Cause Explorer panel. Here we have time on the bottom, and then the y-axis is actually the percent drift from norm for each of these particular metrics. So here we have a host bottleneck metric, and this is telling us that it is 1,000% above normal for 20 minutes. So one of the things that's nice about this tool is here you're able to look across multiple services. Here we have a DynamoDB read throttle event that was 1,000% above normal too. Now look across multiple services to understand what's happening. So I'm going to open this in the Root Cause Explorer, which essentially just gives me more ability to filter by the different services. And so I can drill down a little bit more into the anomalies. So I know my event happened around 5 o'clock. So I'm going to zoom into this time range. And so now you can see I have a few things happening here, and I can, if I wanted to understand what services were involved, here I can get a look at, see there's 14 host anomalies, 8 were associated with DynamoDB, EC2 is involved here potentially. I also have these ELB errors that I know about. These are the ones that first alerted me to the problem. And so let's go ahead and find those on the graph here. So here's that ELB error, the spike in 500 errors that I saw on my dashboard. And so this actually happened towards the end of this big spike of other anomalies that occurred. So one of the things that's pretty powerful about this tool is you can use it as a timeline to sort of investigate backwards what might have occurred first to lead to this error, spike in errors. And I'll just also show you one of the other things that, that we can show for each of these anomalies. Here on the right, here's a summary of this event of interest. And here's that spike that I saw. And each of the other color lines here, we have this green line, that's time shifted by 1 day. And the light blue is time shifted by 7 days. So this is exactly what our this tool is doing. We use machine learning to understand this baseline and then also alert on where this spike is. And this takes into account seasonality on a daily and weekly basis. So if something spikes every Monday, that's not going to show up for you here in the Root Cause Explorer. Okay, so as I'm tracing my event backwards, here we have some EC2 latency occurring. We also have that host bottleneck. And then we also have these DynamoDB bottlenecks that occurred a little bit before. And these are throttled requests. And we might want to investigate, it kind of depends on how far in backwards you want to investigate. But here I can go take a look further at these DynamoDB events. And you can see that it started to get throttled actually way back here, even around 2 a.m. And so one of the things that we can do is look at the related dashboards for DynamoDB. I can look at logs, or I can go look at, tell me all of the events that happened on DynamoDB. So now we're brought back to a DynamoDB focus dashboard. And then I can see, okay, there were 2 errors. There are a couple events that happened, an update table event, a create table event, and describe table event. So here, update table is a little bit concerning. And so here we can see exactly what user updated the table at that time. And I can also, each of these is a set of log messages, tabular information here. So I can go to that particular event, once again, get the raw information about who that user was. And so I can see that Ankit made that update table change. So I can go ask him what changed and make sure that that didn't contribute to all of the other events that we were having. So this is how you can use the root cause explorer and Sumo Logic AWS Observability in general to give you this high-level information and also provide you the ability to dive really deep into all of the services that are occurring and quickly identify the root cause. So I wanted to talk in my last couple minutes here about how this all is set up. I mentioned that it's CloudWatch and CloudTrail data. We're ingesting data across all of these services. And the setup is done through AWS CloudFormation. So if you've ever used CloudFormation, it's a UI where you essentially go through and select which services you want to send data to Sumo Logic. And then collection gets automatically configured. It calls a number of APIs and talks to Sumo Logic, and we ingest that data. And as it comes into Sumo Logic, we also enrich that data with all of the contextual information that's really important as it's coming from AWS, like the account region, namespace, and entity information, so that we can build out that hierarchy view and allow you to traverse your data in a really logical and intuitive way. Okay, so I think we're about out of time. I wanted to leave you with a couple things. Here we have, of course, a free trial of Sumo Logic for those of you who are new. We also have a number of docs and mini trainings to help you get up to speed really quickly. And so that can be found at help.sumologic.com. And of course, contact sales if you have questions about the product, sales@sumologic.com. We'll be happy to get back to you. So I'll just check in if there were any questions. Okay. I think we covered it for today. I'll just wait one more minute in case anyone has a burning question. And if not, we can close out. All right, thank you so much for joining. And we have other webinars around a number of other topics, so always check back with us if there are other topics that you're interested in learning about. And we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.